Bitcoin. Some exciting news out of China, looking at Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies more broadly being approved as property, which is some pretty cool news. But the price of Bitcoin, man, what a struggle it has been recently. What's going on, Bitcoin? Can something happen? Can something happen? Come on. Oh, yeah. You know, price has been pretty rough recently here for Bitcoin. We can see currently Bitcoin is sitting right at a key area of price support. So this area between $25,000 and $26,000, very key area of price support for Bitcoin. We can see the last 3 weekly candles have actually come down to around $25,300 to $25,400 approximately. The weekly candle for this week, though, pretty damn gnarly looking. We did have that rally up to $28,000. Everybody got all excited about the Bitcoin news from Grayscale, and then we got slapped back down 2 days later. It was quick. It was brutal. It was a crazy week. Not a great looking candle. Huge sell pressure coming in every time we get a slight rally here for Bitcoin recently. One silver lining, if you look at the weekly charts, we are still holding above the 200-week exponential moving average. That has been where we've been seeing candle closes above key area of support, because that $25,000 price range, whereas the absolute critical level of price support for this level is right at the 200-week exponential moving average. So we're seeing the convergence of this massively important price point plus the convergence of the 200-week exponential moving average coming together makes it a very strong area, hopefully, but also a very critical area if we lose it. Now, currently, we are potentially looking at a double top scenario, the first top forming in April, the second top forming in July. The downside target of that double top situation is around $20,000. May not play out because we also potentially looking at a double bottom forming up here. So really at a critical will we, won't we, what happens next kind of scenario, but markets are feeling very pessimistic. We need narrative to start driving the price again. A Bitcoin ETF provides a narrative. And, one day you're just going to wake up and there's going to be a Bitcoin ETF approved and the markets are going to be insane. And there's going to be the giant green candle. Everyone gets everyone all excited. But between now and the Bitcoin halving, there's not really a lot of big things happening. Sure, there's some money being made on chain with new layer 2 networks. Yeah, there's some airdrops to farm. Yeah, there's some altcoins been taken off, et cetera. But overall, major trend-wise, we're just kind of slowly grinding along. Things haven't really been that exciting recently, as you've probably noticed. So that's what I'm watching for Bitcoin right now. These, of course, on the weekly charts here. Maybe the end of the year going in here towards next year with Bitcoin halving, maybe we don't see that much exciting happening. Maybe we can see a bit of scary stuff happening. But we'll see. We'll see how it plays out, of course. I'm not too worried about any of this short-term stuff. What happens tomorrow, next week, next month. Before the Bitcoin halving more broadly, it's probably nothing too exciting. My expectations aren't very high. So if something exciting does happen and we get a Bitcoin ETF and it's way more bullish than I could have imagined, great, fantastic. I'll take it. I'm ready for it. My expectation is not set there. But if it exceeds my expectations, I'm ready for that. That's fine. That'll be cool too. Yeah. Basically, lots of nothing happening in the charts here. Wish I had better news for you. Nice chart to share here with you from at the Scalping Pro over on X. He says Bitcoin is back at the lower Bollinger Bands for the first time of 2023. Interesting. Looking at the weekly charts here, of course, again, said last time we saw this was during the FTX collapse, and it turned out to be a great opportunity to accumulate Bitcoin. Is there a bounce in coming? Interesting. All these little interesting tidbits in the charts here, right? All these little tidbits in the charts. Also, this has been shared by Coinalyze. Lowest monthly trading volume for Ethereum since 2020. It just lets you know how much has been just lost in this bear market here, right? All the way back, fully retraced on trading volume. It's like those past few years almost didn't even happen. It's pretty crazy. Pretty damn crazy indeed to see that massive, massive retracement here in trading volume. Again, just underlining how quiet it is in the market right now. And if you're here, you're watching this, well, fantastic. Fantastic. If you're here watching this, then you're here at a time when there is opportunity here in the market. What you do with that information, up to you, of course, not to say we can't see prices go down further from here, because of course we can. Never, of course, financial advice. I'll only share what I do and my opinions on things happening here. I can't tell you what to do with your money. That's up to you at the end of the day. But seeing this kind of low volume and all this stuff just says to me we're in that period where, we are in an accumulation zone. We're in that quiet period where nobody really wants to hear about Bitcoin. That's the period when smart money buys low, right? That's why BlackRock and all these other characters are getting involved. Then when they're in, people come, they FOMO later, they buy it high, and they sell low. You don't want to do that. You want to be the buy low, sell high guy, not the buy high, sell low guy. Now, before we break down the Bitcoin ETF and the China news, if you are a cryptocurrency trader, you got to get yourself an account over on BYBIT. It is the best place for trading cryptocurrency futures. And it's also the best place for trading a huge range of spot altcoins. They have a super popular copy trading service as well. Now, if you want to get yourself an account, use the link in the description, and you'll get up to $30,000 in trading and deposit bonuses, depending on how much volume you trade, how much you deposit, and you're also going to get exclusive fee discounts. So go ahead and check it out if you are a trader. Bitcoin news reporting on what JP Morgan said. The SEC will be forced to approve a spot Bitcoin ETF following Grayscale's victory in court recently. I hate to say I agree with JP Morgan, but I kind of agree with JP Morgan. Feels dirty saying it, but I kind of agree. I think at this point, the SEC doesn't have a lot of options left on the table. They can try and pull the custody card, maybe, because that's really the only difference right now between the futures ETF products that they've approved versus spot products. Now, they've argued in the past, not about custody, actually. They've argued, well, it's all about price manipulation and all this stuff. And the courts came out and said, well, hold on a second. You're telling us that the price feeds are good enough for futures contracts, but they're not good enough for spot contracts? BS. Maybe they're going to try to pull some other cards out, or maybe they're going to try and take a graceful exit and say, well, the courts said that, and we have to follow the rule of the courts, so we're going to be good boys here, and we're going to approve the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF. Larry Fink's going to get what he wants, isn't he? Of course he is. He's Larry Fink. Pretty interesting, though. Everybody seems to be coalescing around this idea. Major firms like JP Morgan. JP Morgan. These guys. I have not forgot about that cocaine boat, JP Morgan. Anyway, everybody is now starting to talk about Bitcoin ETFs being approved. And you start to look at the different media and stuff like this we're seeing coming out around this. It's not just JP Morgan. We're seeing Wall Street Journal and all these different guys publishing how Bitcoin's great for the environment and different stuff like this. The narrative is shifting. Why is the narrative shifting? Because BlackRock's put in the phone calls. They put in the phone calls to the media saying, hey, you got to start talking about Bitcoin like it's awesome again. We're trying to get a Bitcoin ETF approved here. We need people to be on board with this. We know we fudded it in the past. Now, let's make sure people know how cool it is. It's environmentally responsible to buy Bitcoin now, baby. That's how things work. That's how narratives change. Let's talk about the China news. Chinese court said that cryptocurrencies are considered legal property and are protected by law in China. Justin Sun sharing that here. Like Crimson Caravan, Cocaine Boat, sequel to Cocaine Bear, Cocaine Sharks. Cocaine Bear, man. I can't believe they made that. There's a real movie. Somebody made a Cocaine Bear movie. Crazy stuff. Anyway, I digressed from the China story here. Shout out to everybody in live chat, of course. Interesting. So we've seen Chinese courts say kind of similar stuff in the past, basically that cryptocurrencies are protected by law. So if you're a Chinese investor, you own cryptocurrencies, then legally you're allowed to own them. They are protected property, which is pretty interesting. Now let me read this here from Crypto Briefing. Instead of relying on traditional approaches, the report advocates for a unified strategy that draws upon both criminal and civil law. This method, it asserts, would be more in line with the protections given to personal property rights. The People's Bank of China reinforced this stance with measures effective from September 2023, still, though, outlawing the exchange of virtual currencies and their conversion to traditional fiat currencies in China, still imposing bans on the issuance of digital currency tokens and associated derivatives, still introducing stringent rules against broadcasting cryptocurrency specific information. So we've seen different social media platforms in China launching, then taking away, launching, then taking away, having all kinds of restrictions around even sharing price feeds for Bitcoin, and also amplifying surveillance on crypto mining activities using real-time electricity usage as a primary metric. Crypto mining, of course, has come back massively in China, which is pretty interesting. But they want to make sure everyone's paying their taxes on it. I think that's what it really comes down to. It's usually about the money, isn't it? Who's got the money? Who's getting the money? They say such regulations precipitated significant shifts in digital currency markets, causing prominent cryptocurrencies, including Bitcoin and Ethereum, to register declines. Yet in Hong Kong, China approved a comprehensive digital asset plan to make the city-state into a crypto hub. So this is, again, such a weird situation in China, where in China, you're allowed to hold Bitcoin. You just have to pay taxes on it. So China has tax provisions for cryptocurrencies. They've kind of allowed miners back into the country. They have passed property rights for cryptocurrencies. They're launching a national NFT exchange, which means that it runs on blockchain technology. And yet, they still want to keep it stifled domestically, but they haven't. Of course, the gray market for cryptocurrency in China is absolutely massive. If China was to ever reverse its stance, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, that'd get pretty crazy pretty quick. But the Hong Kong story may just be that canary in the coal mine of a softening stance more broadly towards cryptocurrencies in China. Because remember, nothing happens in Hong Kong without Beijing's approval. Pretty interesting. China's slowly coming back. Slowly coming back, guys. Crazy stuff.